from the first day of my college life, where we just made like a music cover the first day of my hostel.
What it looks like to be part of a top tier institution in our country. So,
for me, at least, one of the biggest reasons why I joined NIT Trichy was because of the hostel and the college, the campus life.
And the other thing is, I don't get along too well with strangers, right?
And yeah, later on we kind of recorded that video, and this was in one of the main roads inside our college.
Most of the people I actually met in college, I met through going to all of those events.
Okay, what's up guys? So we are back with our next video, and so this video is very different from the previous videos that we've done, where we've had conversations about college life and tried to add a lot of value. But this one, we are just going to reminisce about our 4 years at college.
It sound right, boy.
So to give you a little context on why this video is happening, so we spent 2.5 years at college, the three of us. We had a lot of fun, and then COVID happened and all of us are stuck home for 1.5 years. And now all of a sudden we have this opportunity to go back to college to collect our stuff, and then the three of us just got on a call to talk about all the fun times that we had, all the wild things that we did at college. And we felt, why not share it with everyone here? Why not show everyone what it looks like to be part of a top tier institution in our country? So that is setting the context for you. So we'll get ahead with the conversation. With me, I have 𝐚𝐡𝐚𝐭 and 𝐜𝐡𝐚𝐭, the co-founders of Clueless but Curious. So the first thing that comes to our mind, right, when we talk about college is hostel life. And when I say hostel life, it's a very liberating experience. We've lived with our parents for 15 plus years. We've kind of done everything rigorously according to rules that have been set by society, and all of a sudden, all of us are free birds. And everyone we see around us are, around the same age. We share kind of very similar perspectives to life. So, what was it like? So, my first question is, how was the change? How did you guys adapt from living with your parents to living in a hostel with a lot of unknown people?
Yeah, so surprisingly well, I would say, because I actually thought I would have a very hard time adapting to hostel life, because I've never lived in a hostel before. I've always lived in my house with my parents. But and the other thing is, I don't get along too well with strangers, right? So going to the hostel and living with complete strangers as roommates and without even individual rooms was something I was pretty sad about when I joined college. But surprisingly, I found that the environment was really good. Everybody was very nice to each other, and we built a community right from the start. The other thing I think that contributed to it was NIT Trichy. When we started, we had a lot of events in first year. Do you remember? Every club and every fest would have their own events exclusively for first years. And I think most of the people I actually met in college, I met through going to all of those events. So I think the whole environment of getting settled into college was pretty good, where we were.
For me, at least, one of the biggest reasons why I joined NIT Trichy was because of the hostel and the college, the campus life, right? I literally had to argue with my parents when I was in school that, I want to go to NIT Trichy and I want to experience the hostel life. So I had this argument and everything, and I kind of convinced them. And the moment that I set foot into NIT Trichy, I still remember my first day in my hostel. It was kind of an emotional moment because your parents are leaving you and they're going back home and everything. So it was a bit emotional. But I went immediately when I went back to the room. I was with my roommate, and I was one of the early ones to be in the hostel at that particular point in time. And so we had around 30-40 people just staying in the hostel, and we all immediately came together that night, and we were just discussing about where we are from, all of our interests and everything. And out of the blue, someone had a guitar, that person just started playing, and we all started singing. And so that was my first memory of my hostel. It was absolutely amazing. It started off with me being super scared of leaving my parents, but yeah, it ended at a very, very high note with me meeting a lot of people and having a lot of fun. And that's when I kind of realized that the next 4 years of my college, I'm going to have one of the best times of my life, and I will make the best out of it. So that was my first impression of hostel life.
That's great to know. So, for the guys watching, Sadi was like an instant hit in our hostel. Like he became popular with his singing skills on the first day. So, like we have a WhatsApp group where of everyone that hostel for coordinating stuff, and then this music video came out, and him and a few guys got all of a sudden very popular. Yeah, Sadi was the best out of his college the first
Yeah.
day.
Actually, it was
so
that
talking about-
video that we did, right? So there was this, the song was actually Shape of You, and we had around like 7-8 people who were there in that particular video. So we didn't have like drums. So there was one person who had like a perfume bottle and there was a bucket. So he was just like hitting the bucket for the beats and everything. So all like random stuff that we did, like just like the first few days in the hostel.
Yeah, that's good. So, talking about my experience, I think I had a wonderful life at home. So shout out to my parents. But one thing that I always wanted to do was, there are a lot of rules, right? Like, you shouldn't wake up at this time. You have to go to sleep. Now you have to eat lunch at this. So there's just like, apart from that, I had a wonderful life. But there are just so many rules that I didn't know why I was following. So I mean, that was the first thing that I wanted to break when I went to hostel. So I just did everything as I wish. So that freedom that you get, and then you spending a lot of time with your friends. I think it's one of a kind experience. You won't get it anywhere. And even if you go to a job, right, you're living alone. But the thing is, you're surrounded by people from all walks of life. When I say all walks of life, people be of all ages. You'll be living in an apartment where your neighbors will be, probably 40 years old. There'll be some people 60 years old, and then there'll be children as well. But one thing in a college hostel is everybody is around the same age. So everybody is striving to do something similar to what you're trying to do, and that gives you that sense of a community and wonderful experiences. So yeah, I think that's a great start to this video. The next thing is, so when we see movies and when we see what hostel life is, people usually do a lot of wild things, right? So did you guys do anything wild in your hostel? First year, second year, third year, any time of college?
Yeah, so definitely we have done a lot of wild things, but there's a certain restriction since we are putting this video in like a public forum. There are certain things that we will not be able to like mention. But yeah, let's. I think that's why I am finding it a little bit difficult to answer this particular question. But if I want to talk about all of the wild things, so the thing is that I've done a lot of random stuff like during college, is what I would say. I wouldn't call it like wild. But I would say like the most random year of my college life would be like first year. I think that's the time where we have all of this newfound freedom and all of these friends and everything. So from the first day of my college life, where we just made like a music cover the first day of my hostel, and then first year was also this period where all of these challenges were there, like Harlem Shake, Mannequin Challenge, and all of that, right? So I literally did all of these challenges some 2-3 times with like different sets of people. So one would be in the hostel, one would be like in the classroom, one would be in the middle of the road. So all of these random challenges that we used to do like in first year. And another random thing that I kind of did was, for some weird reason, I knew the steps to the song like 𝐜𝐴𝐚𝐭. I don't know how I knew that, but yeah, it just so happened. And what happened was, a bunch of our hostel friends, we were just roaming around the campus in the night, and we were around like 30-40 people, and we just like randomly decided, we're gonna make like a dance video to like 𝐜𝐴𝐚𝐭. And the next 1 hour I literally spent time teaching everyone what the different dance steps are. And yeah, later on we kind of recorded that video, and this was in one of the main roads inside our college. It's called as the College Avenue. So literally over there we made like a video. So that would be like a couple of things, random things that I would say that I've done.
Yeah, I think same. We've done like a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy stuff happens in the hostel, right? Good things and bad things. So I think in first year, there was this guy who used to climb down. So we couldn't go out of the hostel. We had curfew in the first year. And there was this guy who could climb down the pipe, and he would just climb down this water pipe on the side of the hostel to go and buy food and come back. And there was a lot of demand for this particular guy. Every night people would just come and they would bribe him, they would pay him extra and all of that just to go buy food for all of us. And a lot of fun incidents, right? I think when you leave a couple of boys of like 18 years old, 17 years old in a hostel, a lot of things happen. I remember this fun incident where we had this terrible subject like math in first year, where a lot of people struggled, and there was this guy who actually promised us that he would strip if he passes, and he actually did it. So that was another crazy memory that we had. Yeah, and I think the third one was probably birthday celebrations, where everything went absolutely loose, where people would just beat the birthday boy up, and pouring water was a very common tradition, and hitting him was a very common tradition. So all of that used to happen. So yeah, a lot of fun memories in the house.
Yeah, birthday memories is something that I will never forget. That's something I always cherish. But yeah, especially if it's other people's like birthdays, right? So we have like the most fun. But I still remember like my birthday, like in first year. Let's just say that like no one hit me. I kind of like slipped and fell down. But yeah, I hurt my leg and I was not able to walk for the next 1 week. Like literally the next day I had class, but I had to go to the hospital in a stretcher. Like I'm not even sure if my parents know this.
Yeah, now they will
know. But yeah, this happened like in my first year. But I think that's a night that I will never forget. Like I had like too much fun, pouring water on everybody, and it was like too much fun.
Yeah, I think I remember the next day. So for everyone, Sadi's room was like 5 rooms away from mine. So morning, as usual, 8:30 class, none of us wake up, and then I woke up at like some 8:25 or something. So I'm just getting ready and rushing to class, okay? And I see Sadi's roommate walking outside his room in very tense, like he's on a call talking with someone and he's very tense. And then I'm like, what's happening? You're not coming to class, because all of us are classmates. And then he's like, after yesterday's birthday celebration, Sadi's like hurt. We have called an ambulance. And then I think, what is happening over here? Like, how does someone go to a hospital on a stretcher after a birthday party? And yeah, that's a very wild memory from first year. And yeah, I think very similar to what you guys said, right? Like all the mannequin, Harlem Shake challenges and all the wild things that we did in first year is something that I'll never forget. And yeah, very and one more thing that I did that you guys didn't mention was I started to kind of play a lot of sports. And I think one thing for the audience who's watching, right? Sports is a very good way to get to know people. So I would say that is how I came out of my shell. Like, because most of the sports that you play in a hostel are team sports, like cricket, football, and whatever. And so if you have to play in a team, you have to obviously start communicating and get to know people. So, if you guys are searching for a little bit of value add in this video, I'm just telling you guys, sports is a very good way to improve communication, improve teamwork, and kind of even improve leadership. So, that is something that really helped me in my first year. So yeah, pretty great memories, guys. So
yeah, so one part of hostel life is actually like playing all of the sports. There is also another aspect where you watch all of these games in college. Like I think that whole atmosphere is like absolutely electric. Like especially if there's like a CSK match going on or like an India match going on, and then we all like go into the hostel in the common room, where there'll be probably like 100 people in this like small room. Like there'll be the small TV over there, and we'll be watching the match. And usually CSK wins like in the last ball, right? And the moment CSK wins, the whole hostel room just like starts shouting, and you can literally hear us like from a mile away, right? But yeah, being a part of that environment is like absolutely amazing. Like I get goosebumps every time I think about it, and every time I'm there in that particular thing.
No, I'm just adding on to what Sadi said. So that I don't really watch a lot of matches, right? But there's so many times and I'll just be sitting in a hostel room that's like 2-3 floors away from the common room, and then I can hear people like screaming. It'll be like people are screaming from the next room, but they'll be 3 floors away, and then I know something really something that I should not miss is happening, and then I'll just rush to that room. And then you'll see people go wild, like remove their shirts, party and CSK. It's a whole different thing.